Hello students, this is our second lecture of Unit 3. This will cover the interrupts programming. We'll study the type of interrupts in the 8051. Actually, each microprocessor or each system handles some kind of interrupts. Some student might have studied other processors like 8085 and 8086. They might have studied what is interrupts, but for some students it might be new. So let us start what are interrupts and why they are used. Actually, a system or a microcontroller handles n number of tasks at the same time. They are not dedicatedly doing a single task at a time. They are handling n number of things. For example, let us consider an embedded system having 8051 microcontroller. So different sensors would be connected to it, a LCD display would be connected to it. So n number of things are connected to same microcontroller and all are communicating with the 8051. So what happens, the 8051 is serving all the units at the same time. Fine. So how to do this kind of multitasking using 8051? We have done the programming part in my last video lectures, so everybody can understand that during the programming you can write into a single register, you can read from a single register, you can add and save into the memory. So one thing can be done at the single time. Please note this: 8051 or any processor, any microcontroller in this technical world which have been developed till today can do a single task in a single time unit. Fine. So how to do the multitasking or how to serve n number of units from the same microcontroller at the same time? For that purpose we use interrupts in the microcontroller. Fine. So how to serve, there are two ways. Actually there are two ways to serve different units. Fine. For example, let us take an example of a computer system. A computer system has different input devices like keyboard, mouse, and different output devices like LCD, LED, and all those things connected to it. Fine. Now how to communicate between them? For example, the mouse is also sending data to the CPU, the keyboard is also sending the same data to CPU. So how to serve either keyboard or the or the mouse? Which device is to be given time? The CPU has to decide. Fine. For that purpose we have two ways: either we can use interrupts or we can also use polling. Fine. Polling, as we all know, poll, as the word itself says, polling means you have to check each device, whether that device is ready to communicate or not. Fine. For example, in during the programming, what you are doing, you are writing the you are writing something like this. You are loading a register, with some value, let's say 255, register R5, and then you are waiting that whether the value becomes 0 or not. For how you are doing that? You are writing instruction DJNZ, decrement and jump if non-zero, what R5 to where, which place, here, and where it is the same line. So what you are doing here, please try to understand. You are loading a value to a register and you are checking that register, you are decrementing that register and checking that register whether it became 0 or not, and then if it is not 0, then you remain at the same line. Fine. So what you are doing here, you keep on polling. This is kind of polling. You are polling that whether that register became 0 or not. So this is kind of polling which you are doing by programming. Another way of polling which I am trying to tell is that you are connected, your system, your microcontroller, this is your microcontroller, it is connected to n devices, and whether this device wanted to communicate to this microcontroller or not, one of the way is polling. And what is polling? This device, this microcontroller will keep on checking whether this device is sending data or not. Fine. and then if it n devices are connected to it, then it will keep on checking all the devices. It will check this device for some time, then this device for some time, this device for some time, and this device for some time, whether they are ready to communicate or not. So by this way, what can happen, the user cannot do any other work. Fine, your microcontroller will keep on checking the devices which is connected to them, that whether they are ready to move the data or whether they are ready to transfer the data or not. The microcontroller cannot do any other work. Fine. So polling is not a preferred idea. The preferred idea for controlling n number of devices using microcontroller is interrupt. What is interrupt? What happens, your microcontroller has some special pins. The name of those pins are INT0 and INT1. Now what can happen, that you have written some program, so microcontroller is busy executing that program inside the 8051. Now what can happen, that if any device wanted to take attention of 8051, that I wanted to send some data or I want some service of 8051, then what will happen, it should send a signal to either of these pin. It should send a signal to either of this pin, and then 8051 will stop doing the work which it was doing. For example, it was executing this program, it will stop this program here itself, and then it will handle the response of this device which has given the signal at this pin. So this will be serviced. This is how the 8051 handles the interrupt. It could be taken similar to a live example. For example, I am taking a class, and all the students are sitting in the class, and somebody during my lecture, somebody came onto the door and knocks at the door. Fine. And this and if I want, I'll stop the class then and there, and then I'll open the door, and then I'll interact with that person which is at the door. So this is up to me whether I want to interact with that person or not. So the only way that other persons can interact with me is to knock at the door. Fine. So this is known as interrupt. Fine. This is how 8051 handles the interrupt. So I think as of now you might have understand that what are interrupts. In shortly, I'll again review. Interrupts are the external signal or the internal signal. Some of the interrupts are internally generated also. Fine, we'll go through them also. So interrupts are externally or internally generated signals which try to stop the microcontroller then and there, and they wanted the service of the microcontroller. In that case, the microcontroller should stop their work and then service that particular device. Fine. So let us go to the interrupts one by one. Now, what is the advantage of interrupt and disadvantage of polling? The advantage of interrupt is that it can communicate, it can do its own work while other devices are not ready to send the signal. Fine. For example, your simple computer system, you keep on playing the game until keep on playing a game on the mobile until you get a call from your friend. Fine. So you keep on playing the game. It's not like your mobile keeps on checking whether there is a call from your friend or not, and till that time it is not doing anything. So the difference between polling and interrupt can be seen from this live example, that a polling in a mobile will mean that if you have n number of friends in your friend list, then your mobile will keep on check on those all n friends, that whether a call is coming from them or not, and it will not do anything else. And an interrupt system, if your mobile has an interrupt system, that means your mobile will do all the work which you wanted to do, play game, play video, play movies, anything else you can do with that. And whenever any other service like a call from a friend, if it comes, then whatever you are doing on your mobile, it will get interrupted then and there. It will stop, and immediately you have to attend the call. Similarly, the interrupts takes place in 8051. Fine. So this is the difference between polling and interrupt, and this is very important. You should know this. Now, what happens when an interrupt takes place? What happens when an interrupt takes place in 8051? Whenever an interrupt takes place in 8051, the 8051 has to take some step for servicing that interrupt, and the steps means it has to execute some special program whenever an interrupt takes place. So inside the memory of 8051, some programs are written, some programs are already written, and it will execute, those programs will execute only when an interrupt takes place. So interrupts are predefined. Please take a note of this, that interrupts in an 8051 are predefined, that these are the interrupts, and for every interrupt a program is embedded in the 8051. Fine. A program is embedded, that means a program has already been saved in 8051 memory, that whenever this interrupt will takes place, this program will be executed. Fine. So that program which is inbuilt or embedded into the 8051 memory is known as interrupt service routine. As the name suggests, interrupt service routine. Fine. Interrupt service routine means the service which has to be given, whenever an interrupt takes place. Fine. What is this interrupt service routine? This is nothing but a program which has already been written into the memory of 8051. Fine. Now whenever an interrupt comes from outside, if the interrupts come from this line, or if the interrupt comes from this line, it is predefined that whenever the interrupt is coming from this line, this program will be executed. If the interrupt is coming from this line, this program, or I'll call it as ISR, interrupt service routine, this interrupt service routine would be executed. Fine. So what is this interrupt service routine? Let us see it again. This interrupt service routine is nothing but a program. This interrupt service routine is nothing but a program which is stored inside a 8051 memory. Fine. Now what happens, I'll tell you in a brief, and whenever I'll do an example, I'll explain this in more deeper. But let us just understand it like this, that if 8051 is executing a program something like this, this is a program which is written on line number 1, line number 2. It is not line number, it is address of ROM. You already understand this, I have explained this in my last classes also. These I'm just taking it as line number, but these are not line numbers, these are ROM addresses. So line 1, ROM address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is 8051. Fine. This is the interrupt pin of 8051. Now the 8051 is executing this program. It has executed line number 1, it has executed line number 2, and as soon as it is executing line number 3, it has fetched this instruction, and it starts executing this instruction. As soon as it starts executing this instruction, line number 3, what happened? An interrupt signal came onto the interrupt pin. Now what 8051 will do? 8051 initially, what is the duty of 8051? 8051 has to finish line number 3 and it has to execute line number 4. But now since interrupt has taken place, what 8051 will do? It will save the address of line number 4 onto the stack. I have already explained this. I am again explaining this. It will save the address of line number 4 onto the stack, because it has to remember that where it is leaving its own program. Fine. 8051 has to remember that it is leaving the current program and it is going to a new interrupt. It is going to service a new interrupt. So where it is leaving, it has to remember. So what it is doing, it is keeping the next line. It is keeping the next line onto the stack. Please remember, I am again explaining. The 8051 is executing line number 1, line number 2. It is currently executing line number 3. It has not finished the execution. It is executing line number 3. As soon as it is executing line number 3, an interrupt came. Now, since it has not finished line number 3, so what it will do, it will first finish the line number 3. Please remember, it will first finish the current instruction, not current program. It will first finish the current instruction, and then it will save the address of next instruction into the stack. It will save the address of next instruction onto the stack, and then whatever is the interrupt service routine, what is interrupt service routine? A program inside the memory. Whatever is the interrupt service routine related to this interrupt, it will start executing that interrupt service routine. Fine. Inside the interrupt service routine, there would be a last line. Last line of that interrupt service routine will definitely be RETI. RETI means return from the interrupt. RET is return and I is interrupt. So RETI means return from interrupt. Fine. So that means whatever this interrupt wanted to do, it is done from first line to last line, and last line would be return from interrupt. As soon as this line is achieved, return interrupt means it will check the stack whether there is something on the stack. Yes, there is line number 4 onto the stack. So it will load the line number 4 to where? To the program counter, because whatever is the address on program counter, only the instruction at that address will be accessed. Fine. So whatever is the address onto the stack, that is loaded into the program counter, and now it will come out, the 8051 will come out of this interrupt service routine, and it will check whatever is the address on the program counter. It will start executing. Now it will start executing from that particular address. And what is that address? Address is line number 4. So where you have left at line number 3. You did all this work and you come back at line number 4 and start executing. How did it remember that it has to come to line number 4? By using the stack. Fine. So this is the way how the interrupt is handled in 8051. This is very, very important, and you should remember this, because I have explained this n number of times in my classes. Whenever I was explaining stack to you, I have explained the same thing. Fine. And this is the same way how a call is handled. I have already explained in one of my video lecture itself, a call and subroutine. A special video lecture was entirely dedicated to call and subroutine. The same thing which was doing in the call and subroutine. We were calling a program. Fine. So what it is doing? It is saving the next line onto the stack. Fine. And then it is executing that subroutine. When it is coming back from the subroutine, it is checking the stack and moving the value of the stack onto the program counter. So what the call and subroutine was doing, the same thing was done by interrupt also. It is not a new thing. But in case of subroutine, a program which was called is not as subroutine, but in case of interrupt, the program which is now called is known as interrupt service routine, ISR. Fine. The same thing is written in this slide, so I advise you all to go through this slide, this complete slide. What it says? It says that whenever an interrupt is encountered, whatever is on the program counter, because whatever the 8051 is executing, that address of that line is where? The address of that line is in the program counter. So whatever is on the program counter, that is saved onto the stack. Fine. That will go into the stack, and then it will go to the desired interrupt service routine. And how do the 8051 knows that which interrupt service routine need to be executed? There is a vector table. What is the name? There is a interrupt vector table. How it looks, I'll explain you in further slides. There is a table. In that table, for every interrupt, there is a corresponding service routine. For example, if you have this interrupt, it will execute this interrupt service routine. Fine. So whenever there is an interrupt, it will check the interrupt vector table, that for this interrupt which ISR would be executed. The ISR will start being executed. Once the ISR is completed, then the last line of ISR will be definitely RETI, that means return from the interrupt. It will return from the interrupt whatever is onto the stack. It will feed it to the program counter, and now whatever is in the program counter, it will start executing. What is on the program counter? The line which was inside the stack. Fine. So this is how an interrupt is handled, and this is very, very important for you people to understand. Now let us move forward. How many interrupts does a 8051 can handle? Those are prefixed. Fine. It is not like any interrupt it can handle. Those interrupts are already prefixed. There are 6 interrupts which a 8051 can handle. Out of those 6 interrupts, 3 are internal interrupts, and 3 are external interrupts. Fine. What does internal means? Internal means those interrupts will be generated inside the 8051 only during the programming. Fine. For example, let me tell you, in my last lecture I was explaining timer. Fine. So what happens when a timer finishes its counting? A timer flag is generated. For timer 0 it is TF0, for timer 1 it is TF1. So timer flag will be set. What is this timer flag? This timer flag is nothing but like an interrupt. Instead of just what you are doing, you are giving count to the timer and then waits that whether counting is finished or not. Instead of doing this, what you can do, you give a count to the timer will keep on counting. Between that time you can do any other work and wait for, and instead of waiting for the timer, whenever the timer flag is generated, and internally interrupt can generate in 8051. So 8051 will know that the timing has, or the counting by the timer has already been done. Now it can service whatever has to be done after this timer. Fine. So that means this is known as internal interrupt. These type of interrupts are known as internal interrupt. And what are external interrupts? External interrupts means the interrupt which are coming from outside of 8051. Fine. For example, your 8051 is executing some program which is inside the memory. Now if any output device produces an interrupt, that will be known as external interrupt. Fine. So you have 3 internal interrupts and 3 external interrupts. Total 6 interrupts 8051 can handle. First interrupt is reset, or it is also known as power up reset. Fine. So what is this? Actually in 8051 you have an external pin which is known as reset pin. If you remember when we were covering the pin diagram of 8051. Fine. So what is this reset pin? This reset pin is whenever a signal comes onto the reset. Whenever a signal comes onto the reset, then what should happen? Whatever program 8051 is executing, leave that program, and the 8051 will again be restarted from the same mode as when it was powered up. That's why it is known as power reset interrupt. I'm again explaining. Whenever you put this whenever a signal is encountered on the reset pin, what will happen? Whatever 8051 is doing, it will stop doing that, and it will start in the same state when it was the same state, the state where when it was powered up. Fine. So this is known as reset interrupt. We'll again go through this after this slide. Now 2 interrupts are set aside for the timer 0 and timer 1, which I have already told you. Fine. Timer 0 and timer 1 are also producing an interrupt. What are those interrupts? TF0 and TF1. What are these? I've already explained in my last video lecture. TF0 and TF1 are nothing but the timer flag 0 and timer flag 1. They become 1 whenever the counting has been completed by a particular timer. Fine. So what happens whenever the counting is completed by timer 0? Timer flag 0 will become 1. So what happens when it becomes 1? When it becomes 1, that means an internal interrupt has been generated by timer 0. So there are two interrupts, TF0 and TF1, corresponding to timer 0 and timer 1. So one interrupt is reset, two interrupts are for timer 0 and timer 1. Now two interrupts are fixed aside for external hardware. Two interrupts are for external hardware. The name are, you have 8051 something like this, you have port 3. Fine. In the port 3 you have pin number 0, pin number 1, pin number 2, pin number 3, pin number 4. The pin number 3 and the pin number 4, the name of the pin number 3 and pin number 4 are INT0 and INT1. Fine. So if any external hardware wanted to interrupt 8051, what it will do, it will send that signal either to this pin or to this pin that I need your service, please stop whatever you are doing, I need the service of 8051. For that purpose, what this device will do, it will send the signal either to this pin or either to this pin. What are the name of these pin? INT0, INT1. Fine. So let us move forward. So one of the interrupt is reset, one of the interrupt is T0, T1, two of the interrupts are INT0 and INT1, and one total of 5. One more interrupt left. One is for serial communication, SCON. Since we are leaving the serial communication, we are not studying the serial communication in this syllabus, so we need not to worry about what is serial communication. Just remember that on the port 3 pin, on the port 3 we have two pins which the names are TI and RI. What are these? Transmit and receive. So these pins are specially used for transmitting serial data and receiving serial data. For interrupting this transmission receiving, we have one special interrupt for serial communication which is known as serial interrupt. Fine. Which is known as serial interrupt. So in total we have 6 interrupts. One is reset, one one is for timer 0, one is for timer 1, one is interrupt 0 external, one is interrupt 1 again external, and the sixth one is serial interrupt. Fine. So we have 6 interrupts, out of which 3 are internal interrupts. The 3 internal interrupts are timer 0, timer 1, and this reset, this serial communication. And external interrupt, reset, because reset, how do you do the reset? You have external pin, so reset, interrupt 0 and interrupt 1, these are external interrupts because it is generated externally out of 8051. Fine. So let us move forward and see one interrupt at a time. This is the interrupt vector table. First let us see what is interrupt vector table. I have already told you, whenever an interrupt occurs, what 8051 does, it leaves the current program and it starts executing a different program which is stored inside the 8051. And what is that program is known as? That program is known as interrupt service routine. Now for every interrupt you have a special program inside the memory. And how does 8051 knows that for a particular interrupt where that interrupt service routine is stored? That is known by the 8051 with the help of a interrupt vector table. This is an interrupt vector table. This is stored inside the 8051 memory. During the programming I'll teach you where it is stored and how it is stored. It is stored inside the 8051 memory. Fine. And what it has, what is its content. Its content is something like this: first interrupt, reset. Now once, whenever you send the signal through the pin reset, it will start executing an interrupt service routine which is stored at the location 000. Fine. Since it's an external interrupt, so there should be a pin onto the 8051. That pin number is 9. Fine. So what was our initial issue? Our initial issue is that when an interrupt occurs, then which program need to be executed, or which, I will not use the word program as of now, I will use the word ISR, है ना. So whenever an interrupt occur, which interrupt service routine would be executed? How the 8051 knows? It will check the interrupt vector table, that whenever reset occurs, what is the program, what is the location of the program which it has to execute, or what is the location of ISR which it has to execute. In the front of reset, it is written that whenever reset occur, please go to the this address inside the ROM and start executed the program which is written at this location. You have the ROM something like this, you have the addresses something like this: 0000, 0001, 0002 till FFFF. What is this? This is ROM. Inside the ROM you have some programs written, and these programs are written at some line number. And what is this line number? Address of each line. Fine. Now at the first line, whatever is written, whenever the reset will occur, the 8051 will start executing from this line. And what is this line? 000 means first line inside the ROM. And that is why reset is known as power on reset, because whenever you power on 8051, from where the 8051 will start executing the program? It will start executing the program from the first line inside the ROM. So what is the address of first line inside the ROM? It is 000. That is why whenever reset occurs, the program which starts to execute, or the ISR which starts to execute, is always at the line number or at the address 0000, which is the first line in the ROM. I think as of now it is very clear to you. That is what is interrupt service routine. Now whenever the external hardware interrupt, that is INT0, occurs, then it is written in the interrupt vector table that please go to line number 003. Whenever an interrupt occurs at INT0, then please go to this line number. Inside the ROM, please go to this line number and start executing this program until what? Until the return instruction is encountered. Whenever return instruction is encountered, it will go back. Fine. So this is the interrupt vector table, and for each interrupt, all the 6 interrupts, you have a defined location, that wherever this interrupt will takes place. What is this interrupt? This interrupt is timer 1, that means TF1. I have already explained in my last video lecture that whenever the timer 1 will complete the counting, the TF1 flag will become 1, and whenever TF1 flag become 1, it will check in the vector table that when TF1 flag become 1, what program needs to be executed? The program which is stored at this line will be executed. Fine. So this is interrupt vector table, and where it is maintained, this table is also maintained apart from the ISR programs. What are ISR programs? The programs which are written for handling the interrupt. Where they are written? They are written inside the ROM. And where this table is stored, this table is also stored inside the ROM. Fine. From where? From 000 to 0023. Please remember, it is written till 0023. So inside the ROM, as a programmer, please listen this carefully. Inside the ROM, as a programmer, when you start using the ROM for storing your program, you leave some space. Why do you leave space? Because from 000 to 0023, Until this space you cannot use this for writing your program. Why? Because in this space your ISR, interrupt service routine programs for interrupt, are already written. You cannot use this space. So from now, whenever we will do example, we will leave these lines, and we will do programming after these line. Any line we can take. We can take any line. For example, 00B1. What is this? This is higher than this. That means a line which is after this. Fine. So what I'm trying to tell that some space inside the ROM is already reserved for what? Interrupt service routine programs. And what are those lines? Those lines are from, please remember, for 8051 it is from 000 to 0023. What is here? Here some programs are written which are known as interrupt service routine. Why they are written? They are written to handle the interrupts. So I think this is clear to everyone. Let us move forward. See an example program. What is written from the first place? What is written from the first place? Let's see. At the first place, inside, this is what? This is ROM. Fine. At the first place, what is the address? 000. Fine. How do I know that it is 000? Because an assembler directive. Please, if somebody is confused in this, what is assembler directive? Please go to my video lecture which explains, first video lecture which explains what is assembler directive. This assembler directive org tells that this is the line number, this is the address. So what is the address? Address is 0. That means 0000. So the address, this is the first line of the ROM. What is written here? It is written that it is starting at 0. Fine. Address 0. Then you have the next line is ljump main. What is ljump main? Ljump main means now you go to your main program. Main program is what? Whatever program is currently being executed, is currently being loaded into ROM, your own program. You go to that program. Why this line is written here? I'll let you know. I'll tell you. For example, see, this is a very good example. Please look into these locations. Please look into these locations. For reset, you have line number. You have to execute. You have to do execution from line number 000 till what? How many places has been given to reset? See, if this interrupt takes place, the program interrupt service routine is written at line number 003. So whatever has to be done for this interrupt reset, it has to be done within these 3 steps, because you have just 3 bytes. Byte number 00000, byte number 0001, byte number 002, and from byte number 003 and another ISR has to be written for this interrupt. So you just have 3 bytes to handle the reset. And what are those 3 bytes? This is in front of you. See this one. This is line number 0000. This is line number 0001. And this is line number 0002. So what is written here? In the line number 0001, it is written long jump to main. Main is that program which you are currently executing or which you have loaded into ROM. Fine. So whenever you press the reset, this is 8051. Please listen carefully. This is very important. Whenever you send reset signal to 8051, what 8051 will do? It will stop executing the current program. What is that current program? That current program is known as main. It is stop executing that current program or that current instruction, and it will check the interrupt vector table that what has to be done for reset. What has to be done for reset? Go to the first line in ROM. What is the first line in ROM? First line in ROM is the or the assembler directive org0, that means you are at the first line. Then it will go to second line, it will do nothing here, it will go to second line, that is long jump to main. That means you go to the main program. Fine. So whenever 8051 is done reset, what will happen? It will be similar to the state when the 8051 is powered up. What will happen when it is powered up? It will go to the first place and then it will jump to the main program. Why will it not execute line numbers? For example, if you start the 8051, it will execute line number 0, it will execute line number 1, then it is jumped to the main program. Why it is not executing line number 2, line number 3, line number 4? Because this is a reserved space for ISRs. It should not execute this. They are only executed when interrupt occurs. So to do that, a jump has been written here. Fine. Look at this. A jump has been written here. Why this jump has been written? Because whenever your 8051 start executing the lines, it should not execute these lines, because these lines starting from 002 till 0023 is reserved for interrupt service routines. What are these interrupt service routine? These are programs which will be executed when interrupt will occur. Fine. So by default, inside your ROM, what would be these lines? Inside your ROMs, it would be just a second. Inside your ROM, it would be something like this: org0, and then you have long jump to main. Fine. So it will jump to your main program instead of executing the reserved lines. This is the structure of ROM. Every ROM in 8051 would be something like this. The first line would be org0, that will define that what is the address, what is the use of this org0. This will define that the address of this line is 000. Fine. So it will jump to the location org this main. Fine. And it will leave this space for interrupt service routine. I think this is clear to you all. Let us move forward. This is all about the reset. So I have already explained you. So please go through this slide, what the reset will do. Now one more thing which is important, that whenever a reset occurs or whenever any interrupt occurs, what happens when, for example, in an 8051 there is a reset pin, there is a INT0 pin, and there is a INT1 pin, and there are internal flags also, internal interrupts also, like timer flag 0. What happens when somebody puts a signal onto the reset, and at the same time the TF0 flag is also generated? Then 8051 has to serve any of the interrupt. This interrupt has also occurred, this interrupt has also occurred. Then 8051 has to decide that which interrupt is of highest priority. Fine. 8051 has to see that which interrupt's priority is high. Then 8051 will service that interrupt. Fine. So a programmer, although internally the priority of all these 6 interrupts are already fixed, but the 8051 can change that priority. How? There is a interrupt enable flag, there is a interrupt enable register which will check whether your, see, we will decide the priority afterwards. First we will learn how to enable and disable the interrupt. First we will learn how to enable and disable the interrupt. Fine. For example, a user can disable the flag interrupts or the external interrupts. Fine. If a user is designing an embedded system, please listen it carefully. If user is designing an embedded system which will have a program which will keep on executing indefinitely, and the user doesn't want that any interrupt, external interrupt, should interrupt it. it will keep on executing. So what will you do? You have INT0 and INT1 pin at the 8051. You disable the interrupts from these pin. So you have a functionality of disabling these interrupts, and if you wanted to use this interrupt in future, then you can enable them also. How to enable and disable this interrupt? For that particular thing, you have a special register which is known as interrupt enable register. Fine, this is known as interrupt enable register. So what is the content of interrupt enable register? The content of interrupt enable register is again of 8 bytes. Fine. So the first bit is EA, which is known as enable all the interrupts. EA is enable all the interrupts. Fine. Whenever this is 1, all the interrupts are enabled, and whenever this is 0, then it will check which interrupt is enabled or which interrupt is disabled. Fine. So what happens, just a second, must be 1 in order to rest of the register to take effect. Okay, so what happens whenever this is 0, that means all the interrupts are disabled. You can disable all the interrupts at a time. Whenever the value of this bit is 0, then all the 6 interrupts are disabled. Nothing can interrupt 8051 once it start executing the program when this bit is 0. Fine. Now this can be done through programming. Now when this bit is 1, then whenever this bit is 1, then these bits are checked. What are these bits? These bits are ET2. ET2 is the bit is for checking the interrupt of timer 2. This is checking ES. ES is for serial communication. So this is for checking the interrupt of serial communication. ET1, this is for checking the interrupt of timer 1. This is for checking the interrupt of external pin INT1. This is for checking the interrupt of timer 0, and this is for checking the external interrupt 0, INT0. Fine. So for every interrupt you have 1 bit. All the 6 interrupts you have 6 bits. 1 2 3 4 5 6. For all the 6 interrupts you have 6 bits. Whenever they are 0, it is that particular interrupt is disabled. Whenever they are 1, that particular interrupt is enabled. But whether they are enabled or disabled, that will be checked only when this bit is 1. Fine. If this bit is 0, that means all the bits will not be checked. That means all the interrupts, whether these values are 1 or 0, in irrespective of this, all the interrupts are disabled. Fine. So if you wanted to enable or disable any interrupt, first you make this bit as 1 by programming, then by making them 1 or 0, you can enable or disable the particular interrupt. Fine. I think this is easy. How to do this programming, let us see. Please read this slide. This is telling the same thing, that how to enable and disable an interrupt. Fine. Let us move forward. Just quickly go to the example. This is a simple example. What it is saying, show the instruction. You have to write an instruction for doing what? To enable the serial interrupt, timer 0 interrupt, and external hardware interrupt. So what you have to enable? You have to enable the serial interrupt. You have to enable the serial interrupt first. You have to enable 3 interrupts. One is the serial interrupt, one is the timer 0 interrupt, and one is the external hardware 1 interrupt. Fine. So you have to enable 3 interrupts. Let us see where they are. So you have to enable some and disable others. For that you have to make this bit as 1. Fine. You have to enable the serial one, so you have to make it 0. You have to make this 0. You have to make it 1. And what they are telling, that you have to enable the external hardware, this also 1, and 1 timer also, I think. Yes, timer 0. So you have to enable timer 0 also. For that you have to enable this. Fine. So what is the combination of this register? This is 1. This dash means it can be anything. either 1 or 0, it doesn't depends. So you keep it 0, then 0, this one, then 1, then this also 0, then 1, then 1, and this also 0. So this is the combination which is to be written: 1 triple 0, 0 double 1 0. That means this is 1 triple 0 means 8, and 0 double 1 0 means 6. So I think yes, this would be 86H. It should be 86H. Fine, let's see. This should be 86H. So instead of writing 86, it has written bits. Fine, in the bits format. You can write in the bits format also, or you can write it like that, 86H. It is similar. Fine. So we will prefer the hexadecimal, because in programming we do the hexadecimal only. Fine. So what has been done to enable and disable the interrupt? The first bit is always 1, and any interrupt which is to be enabled, it has been made 1, and all other interrupts are made 0. Simple. Fine. So similarly, other examples are also been done. The C and B, you can do it by your own, so that you will clear that how to do that. See, some bits are also cleared. What is clear? Clear means you are making in 0. That means you are disabling that particular interrupt. Fine. This also you can do. Now let us move forward. Now we will take one of the interrupt one by one. Fine. So first we are taking the interrupt of timer. I think as of now this class is over. It has taken such a long time, so I'm stopping this video here itself. I'll continue this lecture in the next video lecture. Fine. So I advise you to go through these slides, and up till here please study, so that from the next slide I'll make one more video lecture. So it will take just one more video lecture to finish this topic. Fine. And thank you as of now.